Hey, thanks for joining us today. We are doing our 5-minute Bible stories still, and we hope you like them. Continue to give us comments and feedback. We really appreciate that. We're going to look into these Bible characters that we can kind of maybe see into our own lives through them, their great times of success and their failures, and make them practical to us on this side of heaven. It's been a really good look for me to consider these men and women of faith. Today we're going to look at this guy Daniel. Daniel was a guy that we know had tremendous courage. We know that from the typical Sunday school story of him in the den of lions. But we are introduced to his character qualities right away in the book of Daniel. As you're reminded, King Nebuchadnezzar sacks the Jewish kingdom and takes back captives. So the Jewish kingdom was in exile. But King Nebuchadnezzar, he focused on those elite men in particular. What he wanted to do was take those special guys from the royal family, who were the best of the best, and retrain them to be in his royal family. And so we find that right away, we find out what kind of guys these are. These guys are men of high character. They are good-looking guys. They are those who are smart and qualified to serve, those who are able to listen and learn. And finally, they would be the ones that he would retrain into the Babylonian system and become part of his royal family, really, and his advisors. Daniel becomes one of those. Daniel is introduced to a new kind of wealth, new kind of food and drink. And he says, nope, that's not what I do according to my faith. Would you allow me to eat my own food? Pretty big gamble as really a slave at this point. And they agree to it. And he one-ups it. He goes, I'll make a contest out of it. I bet you I will have a better body. I'll be better looking than I am now. Better looking than you at the end of this diet. And it's true. He follows God in that, and he is rewarded for that. So he is a man of courage and boldness. The second thing is we see an incredible gifting from this guy, Daniel. He is able to uniquely interpret dreams, much like we have Joseph of old in the book of Genesis. Here, the story goes that King Nebuchadnezzar has this dream, and he not only wants you to interpret the dream, but he wants you to tell you what the dream was without you knowing. And his advisors say, you're out of your mind, king. No man can do that. And he says, okay, then I'm going to wipe you all out, and I'll get other advisors. And he's about to do this. And he sends an official to Daniel, and he hears about this. And Daniel says, give me a second, I'm going to pray about this. And he does. That night, God reveals the whole thing to him. And he goes to Nebuchadnezzar and saves all these guys. Truly incredible gift of interpreting. We also know that he not only interprets those signs, those dreams, and interprets for that age of people, but in the coming age, as you know, we'll hear of Daniel again in the end times as he prophesies our future. Incredible times there. And lastly, we see his audacious courage and character when it comes to worship. Here's a guy who would not change the way he worships for nobody. He says, this is the way I worship God, even to the point it may cost him his life. He's not going to change how he worships. Now, I like a lot of worship styles, and there's one maybe I gravitate towards more, but I'm pretty certain I wouldn't go to the wall for an act of worship. Here's a guy who does. Maybe he was even threatened to be thrown into the fire for not bowing down to the great God that was made. He was around during that time. But God gave him the ability to interpret dreams, and I think great courage and strength around that. He was even said to, again, reprimand another king down the road for his impiety. So we have a great, courageous man. Folks, what are some ways that you can take steps of courage in your faith. Consider the prophet Daniel today. Thanks so much for watching.